Hey everybody, I am gonna try and do an episode here with people slamming sledgehammers to my right, sirens beneath me, and construction all around, because I have no other choice today. That's what it's like here. I'm using a noise canceling microphone and some noise canceling software, so good luck hearing some of this. So you can tell that it's time for me to record when the sirens go off. People literally die every time I record. The reason I'm doing this is because I talked to Google's Bard, which is Google's AI, and I asked it for advice about my YouTube channel, and it said, well, if you do videos about like how you made your animated videos, it'll attract people who are interested in animation, or maybe interested vaguely in the topic, but not really interested in listening to stories. And they might become subscribers, and they might come back when the video is done, so they can actually watch the finished version of the animation, just because they're interested in it for the other reason, for the animated reason, not for the lore. So I said, okay, now today we're not here for a story. Today we're here for a video about how I'm making our next story, which is actually an old true story. It's an old, well, actually, I'm going to get into the history of this report from 1936. It's pretty famous. It's all over the internet, but not every version of it matches up with every other version, and that's kind of part of what the video is about. But there's also animated sequences, which is why it's taken days to do. Okay, here's the scene. Remember the story of Mark Shackleman? And he's a night watchman in 1936, and he sees a dogman or a werewolf on top of a native burial mound, right? And it's kneeling down and it's scratching the ground. So I wanted to create that scene in animation. So first I went to Midjourney, and I tried to get it to make a scene like that. Midjourney will never give you what you asked for. Exactly. So I took one that was sort of like what I wanted, and I figured this is one I'll animate, and I'll make this one work. So I filmed all this stuff, or I thought I filmed all this stuff of me working in Photoshop, separating this out, because all of the things online that remove backgrounds, they work for photographs. They don't work so well for drawings and paintings like this. So I had to do it by hand, and I wanted to show you how I did it. So and it didn't work. We have construction going on all around. There's like demolition in the apartment next door. There's construction on the block, down the block, across the street. There's going to be sirens. There's going to be beeping. It's going to be crazy. But I'm just going to go ahead and do this because this is super secret information that they don't want you to know. And the louder it gets, the more you know. This is suppressed information, secret info you're getting. No, seriously, like, there are a lot of people who are starting to use AI in their animations and in their YouTube channels, and nobody wants to share the information about how they're doing it, because it's like, it's their own secret formula. But things are changing so fast in so many ways, I can't even, I would have to spend an hour just beginning to tell you the ways it's been changing for me using this stuff. And besides Bard's advice, I kind of wanted to show that people who say, they leave me comments saying stuff like, that's not artwork, that's AI work. Okay, let me explain who I am. Like, I'm 50, I think I'm 59 now? Well, that's the point. I don't even remember my age. I'm that old. When I used to first pitch cartoon ideas to TV, ideas that got stolen and used, and other people made money off them, but not me. When I used to come up with those ideas, I used to hand draw the pictures. I used to ink them using India ink and a brush, okay? I did use a computer. I used Corel Draw to make logos of the cartoon characters. And I printed out the logos, and then I would cut them out and paste them onto Xeroxes of the ink drawings of the characters. Then I'd Xerox those again, and then I'd color those Xeroxes. Then I'd make color Xeroxes of those, and I'd make booklets. And we would show those booklets when we would do presentations. Okay? So don't hit me with oh, dude, you're just using a computer. You don't know how to do anything by yourself. It's like I did it all by hand back in the 90s. Like, I'm a million years old. And I'm telling you, like, if you think going into AI is going to mean like less work for you, you're out of your mind. It's going to mean I don't get to sleep anymore because I'm doing it with AI. What it is going to do is it's going to give you a team of workers that you never had before, basically for free or for a very low budget. Like, for instance, I use Midjourney. That's like $30 a month. So I got to pay that, but it gives me much more than $30 in return. It gives me a team of artists, a team of photographers. You know what I mean? It gives me a team of makeup artists making up dogman makeup and werewolf makeup and so forth. So this is stuff that I need to. All of my life, I wanted to do cartoons. Back when I used to pitch the ideas, you couldn't do them yourself really unless you had a year or two. And even when I was at Jumbo Pictures, where they made Doug, like they tried to train me to do animation. They tried to show me how to do it. They sat me down and tried to teach me, and I quit. I was like, I don't want to. No, this is not what I want to do. It's incredibly boring to me. It's not what I want to do. I want to come up with the ideas. That's what I want to do, and then have other people animate it. So when Flash came along, I started sort of doing primitive animations. But, it was only when AI came along that my eyes lit up and I was like, wow, I would like to do animations with this. This is, now I want to be an animator for the first time in my life. I always wanted to work around animation. I wanted to write it. I wanted to do character designs, and I did. But, I never sat down to be an animator. And now I'm really interested in doing that. And I don't see AI as cheating in any way. I see AI as me having the money to hire artists to work under my direction so I can do it in any style I want. Now, for this historical one, what I wanted to do was I wanted to do a few different versions of the major scene, the iconic scenes from the story where you see the monster, because in different versions, it's sort of described differently. And there's also 2 appearances of the monster. You saw it twice. I'm calling it a monster for lack of a better term. We don't really know if it's a werewolf. We don't really know if it's a dogman. We just know he saw it on 2 times. It smelled like death. And I'm going to get into different versions of the story. And in the end, I actually find a sort of Rosetta Stone that explains where a second version of the story came from by misreading one of the primary sources. So I think it's going to be an interesting episode. Also, when I started it, I didn't know if it was a real story or a fable. When I got more into it, I started to think that it was a made-up story. But by the end, and this is a spoiler, but I don't think you'll mind, by the end, I was really surprised that it becomes much harder to think that it could have been faked by the end. I'll just say that much. And you'll have to watch the finished video, which I hope comes out tomorrow, because it's taken forever to do. Now, here you can kind of see why it's taken forever to do. This is me having to cut out some of these characters so I can do separations. Once I get a picture I like, to animate it, I have to put everything on a different level, and it gets involved and boring. But it's not just AI doing it for me, believe me. Because when I'm using different things, I'm using Adobe products to animate, and using Photoshop to cut things out. Okay, so here's the scene. You know the scene where the first time Mark Shackleman sees the dogman or whatever it is up on the burial mound? It's clawing the ground. It's crouched down and clawing the ground. So I'm going to try and animate it actually a couple of 3 different ways. I'm not sure how many yet. I'm trying to do a few different ways to illustrate it, because I'm not 100% sure what he was describing. You're just going to have to tune in and see the finished product, because I'm better at writing stories than I am explaining how I wrote them. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not. I don't know if any of this made sense. Hopefully by tomorrow I'll have a finished video for you guys. Bye. Hey, I just want to say I've been reading this fascinating book about the dogmen and werewolves, written by the late Linda Godfrey. It's a real classic on the subject. I've noticed that there are some sharp discrepancies between her version of a certain famous classic dogman appearance in the 20th century and the History Channel's version of the same event. I'm working on a semi-animated episode using maps and imagery, to illustrate visually the two different versions as they're explained. Try to get closer to the truth than possibly anyone has ever gotten before. You know you can get the audiobook version of this important book for only $6 if you follow the link in the description, and you help out our channel if you do. And now for something completely hairy. Thanks, Biggie. And thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button, or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that when it cuts off after I think 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.